Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, you find a way to lose. Hope everybody's doing good. Now listen, the rumor is Terrence Crawford's about to drop those belts. Or he may have dropped them already. So check this out, right? If Terrence Crawford drops those belts at 147, hey, them guys at 147 will turn into a bunch of piranhas. But what we need to know is, so what happens? He drops the belts. Are certain people in the mandatory position? Do they just automatically get elevated to become the full-blown champion or whatever? You know what I'm saying? We just saw Tim Tszyu get elevated, right, at 154 because Jermell Charlo got stripped of that WBO belt. Now, Tim Tszyu, he didn't have to fight for that belt, right? He gets elevated, okay? So when you start talking about 147, well, we got to understand. You take a look at what's going on. Now, this is updated as of 2 August, but we know enough about what's going on in boxing, but we can kind of talk to this. Now, Terrence Crawford is the big dog, right? He earned that right, although people keep saying... Now, I want to make sure I'm clear when I say this. Terrence Crawford and a lot of these other fighters, they do take the cocktail. But I've been talking about the cocktails for a long time. You have the legal cocktail, and then you have the illegal cocktail. And I want to make sure I'm crystal clear. When I talk about a fighter taking the cocktail, I'm crystal clear when I discern between if it's illegal or if it's not. And what I will say about the cocktails that a lot of these fighters are taking with these different quote-unquote strength and conditioning coaches, even if it's Ariza, Conti, Heredia, Sajad, a lot of the substances or the supplements, or the drugs they have these guys take, they're legal. And a lot of these supplements and drugs they have these guys take can achieve the same results as them taking an anabolic steroid or some kind of bad substance, Pervada or UCAT, okay? So make sure you understand that. Because I will say, until I have no more breath left in me, Terrence Crawford was taking the Conti cocktail. Doesn't mean he was taking a banned substance, okay? And that's the advantage of having a pharmaceutical genius in your corner. It's just like guys going in the gym, lifting weights, wanting to build muscle mass. You can go get creatine. Hey man, those anabolic steroids give you the same results. It boosts testosterone, etc. But you can go out there and start taking creatine over the counter, no adverse health effects, and you can build muscle as well. So what I'm telling you is, you can get the same or similar results by taking legal stuff opposed to trying to go the illegal route. All right? So hold your horses and let's not take it to the stupid. Now, Terrence Crawford drops the belts. All right, so he's out of there at 147, okay? He goes to 154. Earl Spence is out of there at 147. He's up at 154. So let's just take Crawford and Spence out the mix. So the thing is to look at who are these guys as far as the ring rankings ranked in the top 10. Well, Boots, Ortiz Jr., in my opinion, he should be out of there because he's at 154, because 147, they'd be fools. Let me tell you something. You talk about Earl Spence struggling to make 147. Ortiz is someone who should not be at 147 anymore. Earl Spence, what you see going on with Ortiz is just the struggles that he was enduring. It showed up before fight night on 2 occasions where he couldn't get there. Okay, this rhabdomyolysis. Now with Earl Spence, maybe his struggles really showed up on fight night for his performance. All right? So when it comes to these guys and getting down to 147, Ortiz should not at all make an attempt to get back down to 147. Earl Spence won't do it again. So you got Ellis, then you got Stanionis. You got Rocha, Crowley, Avanasian. How he's still ranked up there, I have no idea. Giasov, I don't even know who that is. Villa, we know who that is, and Ellis, all right? But when you come down here and we really start to take a look at the ranking stack across the WBO, IBF, WBC, and WBA, gets a little interesting, all right? We see Terrence Crawford as the big dog across all 4 sanctioning bodies. Let's just throw his name out, okay? So now you see in the WBO, you have nobody. The IBF, you got Jerome Boots Ennis. I am 100% confident they're going to elevate Jerome Boots Ennis to the world champion at the IBF. For the WBC, it's vacant. And then for the WBA, I am 100% sure they're going to elevate Stanionis to the Super World Welterweight Champion for the WBA. So what you have is Boots, no kidding, he's the IBF champion, and you have Stanionis, who will be the WBA champion. So you got the WBO and WBC that'll be vacant. Some people are thinking, damn, well, what's going to happen with the WBO? Because they're looking at Crowley, they're looking at Ellis, they're looking at Stanionis. Let me tell you, Alexis Rocha will probably end up fighting Rashidi Ellis in a rematch for that WBO, that vacant WBO strap. That's what I see happening there. Okay? Now, we know that Alexis Rocha and Rashidi Ellis, they fought already. Rashidi Ellis got the best of Rocha. It was a close fight. But right now, some people are saying Rocha has gained experience. He's been active. He's got the momentum. And they feel that now some people feel that because Ellis got knocked out, or he got knocked down a couple of times facing Villa in that last round, they feel that Ellis, he's chinny. I just think fatigue set in, man. I mean, the 12th round, you got somebody that you in there pretty much the whole time was just coming at you. Yeah, fatigue will set in. So I don't know if Ellis is chinny. He hasn't proved to me to be chinny. He's just someone in the 12th round, like most fighters, they're dead tired. They're exhausted. And he got touched up a little bit. And that's the reason why he lost the fight. Other than that, he would have won the fight, okay? But I see Rocha and Ellis fighting for that WBO strap, okay? Because when you come down that list and you look, there's really no one else. And I don't know what they did to my boy Blair Cobb. They just did him wrong. What's his name? De La Hoya just sour because Blair Cobb spoke out against Ortiz. And now you see De La Hoya doing Blair Cobb the way he did Shane Mosley when Shane Mosley fought Pacquiao, and he didn't want to give him a steak and Golden Boy, and Mosley had to sue him. So you come over to the IBF, Jerome Boots is the man. Let me tell you something. He could be looking at fighting. If Barrios gets past Ugas, you could see him end up fighting Barrios. But for the IBF, that could be his first defense. Or he'd be doing a unification with Stanionis, right? That's the uniqueness of it. Now, the WBC is so funky because you got Keith Thurman, who's ranked #1. And he can't just go and be elevated. Well, they can do what they want, but I can't see them elevating him to become the WBC World Welterweight Champion unless he fights Cody Crowley, because Cody Crowley just fought a title eliminator. So Cody Crowley just fought and won, so he was supposed to be in line for, it was Earl Spence, but now Terrence Crawford. Now Terrence Crawford dropped his vacant. Keith Thurman is still, whether you like it or not, he's owed a shot at the WBC strap. I could see him having to fight Cody Crowley and the winner become for the vacant title, and Keith Thurman becoming the WBC champion. And then when it comes to the WBA, hey, Stanionis is there. Virgil Ortiz isn't going to be the fight, but you know you got Butev, and he already fought him. It could be, there could be a mix-up again, but I think what would happen, more ideal would be Jerome Boots and Amantis Stanionis fighting in the unification. But again, I don't know that. Thank you, baby. I'll give it right back to you. But again, I don't know that. We're just having a conversation. But this is just me trying to take a look and kind of anticipate what the next move is going to be. Now, what's funky is the WBC, the fact that they have Barrios and Ugas fighting. You could see Mario Barrios and Ugas somehow. See, the WBC is tricky. Because really what I think should happen, you know what they could do? They could make Thurman the WBC World Welterweight Champion. And then the winner of Ugas and Barrios fight Cody Crowley to become the mandatory to Keith Thurman. That's exactly what could happen. And boy, oh boy, would some people in the boxing community be pissed off that Keith Thurman, without having to fight for that WBC strap, he just gets it handed to him. Wouldn't that be crazy? But to tell you what, I mean, he just gave it up, so they give it back to him. I don't know if I have too much of an issue with that. But guys who've been putting the work in, it's kind of a slap in the face. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. So that's what you're looking at, people. For the WBO, Alexis Rocha could be elevated, but he may have to fight Rashidi Ellis again. But you just don't know what they're going to do because Alexis Rocha is the #1, Cody Crowley is #2, and Rashidi Ellis is the #3 in the WBO. I think Crowley's going to go that WBC route because he already fought in the title eliminator. And I think Rocha is the one going to fight Ellis as the number 3. For the IBF, Boots Ennis will be elevated to the IBF World Welterweight Champion. And I really think they'll do the unification between him and Stanionis for the IBF and WBA to get Boots Ennis a step closer to becoming undisputed. For the WBC, I think Keith Thurman will be elevated to the WBC World Welterweight Champion. And they'll have Crowley fight the winner of Ugas and Barrios to determine who becomes the mandatory to Keith Thurman. Now, and for the WBA, like I said, Stanionis would go on to fight Ennis. But what we could see happening here, this is what, pay attention. Boots fights Stanionis and clips him. Then, because it's a unification, after he fights Stanionis, have him go fight Keith Thurman. Clips Keith Thurman. Now he has 3 belts. And then he's looking over there to see what's going on with Rocha and Ellis and the winner of that fight and clip them. So what we could see in the next 2 years is Boots Ennis become the undisputed, because I'll be quite frank with you. I don't think anybody beats Boots Ennis outside of Crawford. Now, I don't even know about Earl Spence the way things went. But at 147, Crawford and Spence off the table, so forget them. But to be honest with you, I just don't see. I mean, when you think about it, look at the names. Think about Boots Ennis and what he brings to the table. And I'm just throw these names out there, and you think out loud. Do you think, all right, any of these guys can beat Boots Ennis? Rocha, Crowley, Ellis, Santion, Jamal James, Josh Taylor, Giasov, Mario Barrios, Blair Cobb, Ivan Gulab. The only one I think would give Boots some issues would be Egidijus Kavilaskis. That's the guy that knocked Terrence Crawford down. But these other guys, Butiev is a problem, but he may be tailor-made for him. But just to be honest with you, the only way I see somebody giving Boots Ennis a problem is someone who's durable and who's going to come at him, has some head movement, can counterpunch. But the problem with these guys, they don't. Some of them don't have the long arms and reach to deal with what Boots Ennis is bringing to the table. You know, you're going to have the short arm thing won't work unless Boots, turns stupid and decides to fight an inside fight with these guys. Although Boots is great at that, but he shouldn't be anywhere near this guy Mean Machine. He shouldn't be anywhere near him trying to fight in close, because that Mean Machine can fight. But Mean Machine's getting older too. You know what I'm saying? It could be another one of those things where some people may see if Boots clips him as a cherry pick. But out of all the names out here, there's no one at 147. No one. I'm looking and I'm like, damn, who is it? Who can beat Boots Ennis? And we already took Crawford and Spence off the table. There's nobody, man. There's nobody. What Boots Ennis is going to end up having to do at some point, right? Boots Ennis is going to have to bubble up to 154. Because he's going to become undisputed at 147. Now he's at 154, and all these faces and stuff, these names are going to change. Then he's going to have to figure out what he's doing there and fight somebody at 154. So we'll see what happens. But in my opinion, going back to what I was just saying, when it comes to the rack and stack and who's going to do what at 147, and the fact that these belts, this undisputed distinction with Crawford has dropped it, he's released the belts. When you look at that WBO, I really believe Rocha and Ellis will fight in a rematch because there's some history there. It's a storyline, and they'll fight for that vacant WBO. I think for the IBF, Boots gets elevated to be the world welterweight champion for the IBF. I think he'll fight Stanionis, who'll be elevated to the WBA Super World Welterweight Champion in the unification. And for the WBC, I think Keith Thurman will be elevated to the WBC World Welterweight Champion. And Crowley will fight the winner of Ugas and Barrios for the mandatory spot to Keith Thurman's title. And that's how I see it. And what's going to happen once the dust settles? Boots will just start unifying and eventually become undisputed because there's no one who can beat him. He'll be a superstar. He'll make big money. And then he, like Spence and Crawford, will have to bubble up another weight division because right now there's nothing there for him. There's no competition for Boots Ennis there. None. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. In the breeze.